Okay, so check this out. We got our hands on something really cool, a Finnish language textbook from the 1980s. It was published by the US government, believe it or not, for the Foreign Service Institute. The whole point was to teach American diplomats how to speak Suomi. That's what Finns call their own language. And by taking a deep dive into this thing, we're not just going to learn some words, we're going to uncover a completely different way of looking at the world.
So, you might be thinking, what can a dusty old textbook from the Cold War really show us? Well, here's the thing. A language textbook is like a secret blueprint for a culture. It's a guide to not just what you need to say, but what you absolutely need to understand to function in that society. It shows you what's important, what's funny, what's polite, and the deep-down logic that shapes how a whole country thinks.
And you don't have to look far to see it. Right there in the introduction, the book's mission statement tells you everything. This was never about learning to read, ancient Finnish poetry. No, this was built for real life. It was made to get diplomats talking about renting apartments, figuring out the sauna, and yeah, even going on dates. That focus on the practical and everyday makes it the perfect little time capsule for us to explore.
So, let's crack this thing open and start right where any language learner would, page 1. Before we get into the really mind-bending stuff, the book kind of eases you in with things that feel pretty familiar.
The first few chapters look, well, like any language course you've ever seen. You're learning hyvää huomenta for good morning and phrases like saanko esitellä, which just means may I introduce. It's all very standard stuff, building a nice solid foundation. But even here, in the easy parts, you start to see these little hints of the practical, real-world focus of this book.
For instance, right away the book shows you the difference between the formal way to say I and you, that's mina and sina, and the much more common everyday way, which is ma and sa. Now think about that. A formal government textbook is teaching you slang. That tells you the goal wasn't just to sound proper, it was to help you actually fit in and sound like a real person.
Okay, so we've covered the hellos and goodbyes. Now the textbook pulls back the curtain on the first truly unique and kind of beautiful feature of Finnish. This is where we leave familiar territory behind and step into this elegant system that controls the very sound of almost every single word.
It's called vowel harmony. And it sounds complicated, but think of it like this. Vowels in Finnish are split into two teams. You've got the front vowels and the back vowels. The rule is super simple. You can't mix vowels from the two different teams inside the same native word. It's like every word has its own color palette, and the sounds have to match. This isn't just a weird quirk. It's our first big clue that this language is built on a really deep internal logic. And here's what that looks like. If you have a word like talo, which means house, it uses back vowels, a, o, u. So any ending you add has to use a back vowel too. In the house becomes talossa. But if you take a word like metsä, that's forest, it uses front vowels. So the suffix has to change to match. In the forest is metsässä. See that? The essa becomes sa. This one rule ripples through the entire language. It's amazing.
All right, so from that beautiful sound system, we move to the thing Finnish is probably most famous for, or maybe infamous for. It's noun cases. Now I know, this is the part that scares people. But the textbook presents them as these incredibly powerful tools. Kind of like having a grammatical Swiss Army knife for every situation you could possibly imagine.
So how many are there? How many of these tools are we talking about? In English, we basically have 3. In Finnish, get ready for it. 15. Yeah, 15 different endings you can stick on a noun to show what it's doing in a sentence.
So you're probably asking, why? Why on earth do you need 15? The answer is just radical efficiency. See, instead of using all these little separate words like in, from, on, or to, Finnish just changes the ending of the word itself. So in the house isn't 3 words. You just take the word for house, talo, and add the ending sa, talossa. One word does the work of 3. It's like you're building with Legos, stacking information directly onto the word.
The locative cases are a perfect example. They're all about location and movement. Think of it like a little tour of a house, Finnish style. The inessive case puts you inside the house. The illative case means you're coming out of the house. The adessive case means you're at or maybe on top of the house. And the ablative case means you're coming from the house. Each one is a super precise tool for describing space in a way that English sometimes has to stumble around to express.
So, we've got the grammar, we've got the sounds, but what were these diplomats actually learning how to talk about? This is where the textbook stops being just a grammar guide and turns into a cultural field manual, showing us exactly what was important to Finnish life back in the day.
I mean, you just scan the table of contents, and it's basically a masterclass in how to live. There are whole units on how to rent an apartment, how to talk about the social security system, and even a section on how to go out on a date. It's a complete guide to becoming Finnish.
But nothing, and I mean nothing, screams Finland more than this. It's actually listed as a key skill to practice. Learning how to politely accept or turn down an invitation to the sauna is treated as a fundamental communication skill, right up there with introducing yourself. That tells you everything you need to know about how central the sauna is to Finnish social life.
The dialogues in the book also get wonderfully and sometimes just bizarrely specific, especially when it comes to food. One of the practice phrases you're taught is how to offer someone silica pizza, which translates to herring pizza. I'm just going to let that sink in for a second. Herring, pizza.
And oh, it does not stop there. You also learn how to offer someone memmi. Now, memmi is a very traditional Easter dessert made from rye, and let's just say it's an acquired taste. Again, these aren't generic food phrases. They are deeply, specifically, unapologetically Finnish.
And this is my absolute favorite part. If someone offers you herring pizza and you're not feeling it, the textbook gives you a few polite ways to say no. And the best one, hands down, is lääkäri on kieltänyt. My doctor has forbidden it. It is so perfectly formal, so dramatic, and honestly, it's a genius excuse for any awkward food situation.
So, what does this all add up to? You've got vowel harmony, 15 noun cases, herring pizza, doctor's notes. This isn't just a random collection of quirks. When you start to piece it all together, you realize you're not just learning a language, you're learning an entirely new system of logic, a new way to put the world together.
So this Finnish linguistic toolkit we've been unpacking, what's in it? Well, it's a system that loves logic and rules, like we saw with vowel harmony. It values incredible precision, especially when you're talking about where things are. It's all about efficiency, building these complex words instead of using a ton of little ones. And maybe most profoundly, it hints at a totally different way of thinking about yourself.
This last example is it's amazing. In English, if you have an opinion, you say, I think, right? It's a statement about your internal state. In Finnish, you say, minusta se on mukava. Literally, that translates to, from me, it is nice. An opinion isn't something you are. It's something that comes out of you, separate from your core identity. That is a massive philosophical idea hiding in plain sight, right there in the grammar.
And that's really the big takeaway here. A language isn't just a list of words you have to memorize. It's a framework. It's a whole system for structuring your thoughts and making sense of the world around you.
So, digging through this old government textbook, it really has been like finding a different operating system for the human mind, one that runs on a totally different logic, a logic of harmony, precision, and construction.
And that brings us to one final big question. We've seen the logic that's baked right into the Finnish language, but what about your own language? What are the invisible rules, the hidden assumptions, the grammatical habits that are quietly shaping the way you think every single day?